squadron was a squadron in Bamberg, which is the one I was in. There was a squadron in Hamburg. Another squadron, the third squadron, was in Bayreuth, in Germany.
Did you have any incidents while you were there at all with the Russians or?
Well, yeah, there was all.
troops?
I was in artillery at Howitzer Battery. We didn't have a real major role actually on the border, because the border station was several kilometers away from our battalion headquarters area. There were incidents, yeah. There was some incidents where we had people crossing over deliberately and accidentally, occasionally, but no major incidents.
How did your wife adjust over there? How did your family? How did the Germans react to you and the family?
Well, we had a great experience. We really did. We got there, and after we'd been there a few days, my wife got a knock on the door, and this red-headed German girl came up to knock on the door with broken English and asked if we wanted her to work for us. We couldn't have imagined how that would turn out, but we found out that she was going to be a full-time. We had a little apartment over us where she could stay, and she did everything, or was willing to do everything: cook, clean, babysit, wash, the whole thing, everything. And the apartment was just absolutely immaculate, because every day she did everything that she could have waited a week to do. She polished the floor and silver, and the places were well equipped with china and silver and that sort of thing. Anyway, we only paid $30 a month for that kind of service, if you can imagine that. So it was just a great experience, because my wife was free to do a lot of things that she wouldn't have had to do. Hetty was her name, and she did everything, but my wife cooked. Everything else Hetty took care of. So it was a great experience for her.
Her title was Putzfrau. Putzfrau, is that what they call them?
Yeah, well, maybe so.
Putzfrau, meaning working lady or maid or something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Okay. Did you get into Nuremberg? Did you get into Nuremberg?
Oh yeah, our regimental headquarters was in
Nuremberg.
Yeah.
Did you get to the prison there in Nuremberg?
No,
never
did.
Okay. That's quite a place. Nuremberg is quite a city, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Lovely city.
And Bamberg is quite a nice place too, where we were. Mm-hmm. And you ask about experience with the German people. I had a great experience. I played tennis, as I mentioned before. And I met a German captain who played tennis, and when he found out that I played tennis, he invited me down to the local German tennis club, and that was an entree to a lot of activities, social activities down there. They treated me royally. I enjoyed my 3 years there.
Great tour.
Great tour.
And you were promoted there to captain?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And after leaving Germany, or how did you return to the States?
Well, I went to the advanced class.
Okay.
Advanced course for my branch from 61 back to Fort Sill.
Your family accompanied you?
Yeah, family with me.
How did you get by ship or
no,
plane?
We flew.
You flew?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Had another interesting experience there, coming back into the States. We landed at McGuire Air Force Base. And I had purchased a Exacta camera. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's quite a prized camera. Well, going through customs, these two customs guys, they saw the camera and asked if I had paperwork for it. Well, I had sales where I bought it, but I didn't have anything else. Well, they said that wasn't good enough. So they said that I would have to either leave the camera and until it could be confirmed that I was entitled to have it, or they would have to pumice off, grind off the Varex, which was the brand name of the camera, off of it, which would deface the face of the camera really badly. Well, it didn't take me long to figure out if I left that camera there, I'd never see it again. So I had to grudgingly let them pumice it off the face of the camera, and that was a traumatic time for me because I felt that I'd been had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I had the camera. So.
But you had the camera.
Yeah.
Do you still have the camera?
Yes, still have it.
Okay. And so then you went out to Fort Sill. How long was the course, the advanced course for?
Just about 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you were basically with all captains, basically.
Yeah. First lieutenants and captains.
First lieutenants and captains. And then after being at Fort Sill, what was your next assignment?
Let's see, Fort Sill. I went to advanced course, and where did I go after that? That's 61. I know. Yeah, that was 61, 62. That was when I went to University of Arizona to get the master's in mechanical engineering I was telling you about. And
Out of uniform?
Out of uniform. 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Family accompanied you, of course, there.
What's that?
That was the family accompanied you there, sir?
Yes, family's there. We were very fortunate. We found a place through a classmate of mine who had been there, was leaving when I was arriving, and he knew of a place. It was 2 blocks in the main entrance of the campus of the University of Arizona. And so I was able to walk to school every day, and we only had 1 car, so my wife had the car. And very nice location. And that was another, except for the grind of the academics, it was a great experience there too. But it was tough. It was a tough 2 years academically.
You wore something. You were not in uniform when you went to class.
Not in uniform at all.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking for another experience, when we got there, we were assigned, and we met students who were leaving. And of course, they were kind of cluing us as to what to expect and everything. And they were identifying certain professors and teachers that we should avoid, and you know how that goes. One of them was a female Chinese math professor, and everybody that ever had her was suffered under her. So we had to take a calculus refresher course, advanced calculus when we got there, and some of my classmates got her right off the bat. I didn't. I was fortunate I didn't get her, but anyway. 2 years later, I finished for my thesis. I did my master's degree with Dr. Peterson, who was a real character, but he was a great advocate for the military and just a tremendous guy. He was kind of weird, as some of the professors are, but other than that, he was a terrific guy. But anyway, he was my thesis advisor, and they published on the bulletin board who the committee, names of the committee you would have to affirm your thesis, confirm it, or there's another word for it. I can't think of it right now. But anyway, this sort of tests you on your thesis. And then everybody starts joking about who's going to get Dr. Lim. And everybody was. And who got her? I got her, and I had not had her before, but I knew her only by reputation. Of course, I was just petrified. But anyway, and I think Dr. Peterson, who was my thesis advisor, he knew what was going on. So what happened was, unbeknownst to me, of course, we went in, and what they did, you would stand up before this committee of folks, and there'd be representatives from the math department, from the various engineering departments, and from other disciplines in the school. And you stand there, and they fire questions at you. Well, for about 2 hours. This would last about 2 hours. Well, Dr. Peterson was the lead questioner. He was the first one to ask questions. But he tailored, and I wasn't aware of this at first, he tailored that whole thing where he asked the question, I'd answer, he'd ask another question. And he kind of, one question led to another, to another, to another. 2 hours later, nobody else had asked a question. No. So Dr. Lim never got a shot at me. Now, that doesn't sound like much to you
Yeah,
now.
looking out.